In this video, we are going to rig this T-Rex with AutoRig Pro. Rigging dinosaurs has been a popular request for this series, and while dinosaurs come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, I think rigging something like this T-Rex will also allow you to rig dinosaurs with a similar structure, such as Ankylosaurus or Velociraptors and so on. And I'm also working on another chapter in which we are going to rig a Triceratops most likely. So that will show you how to rig the heavy four-legged dinosaurs. And that should cover 80 to 90% of the dinosaurs that people want to rig. I got this T-Rex model from Sketchfab, so you can get it from here, or you can download my tweaked version from my files. Now let's get going and let's go to ARP. And for this rig, I'm going to start from an empty armature. Technically, you can start from the dog, for example, or even the human, but it is pointless. If you want to rig something like this, you should be fairly comfortable with AutoRig Pro, and you can watch my previous video about creating custom rigs to get up to speed. Now I'm going to choose the empty armature, and that will give me just the roots. They are a little bit small, so I can press Edit Shape and scale up this root a little bit. Apply Shape, and then the other one, Edit Shape, scale it up, apply shape, and that's it. That is purely visual, but it will allow us to select these roots easier. Next, I'm going to go to Edit Reference Bones, and right away I want to add a spine. That is almost always the first so-called limb that you want to add. So let's rotate it a little bit from the side view and scale it up and align it with the body of the T-Rex. And because the body is heavy and not very flexible, I'm just going to keep the number of bones to 3. If you want more, you can just click on one of the bones and go to Limb Options and increase this count. And you should definitely change the rig definition from biped to multiped. Let me show you why. I'm going to press Match to Rig, and now you'll see these spine controls which are aligned with the world. That is great for humanoid characters, but with animals you want to switch to multiped and then press Match to Rig again, and the spine controls will be aligned with the spine bones. Okay, back to reference bones. Let's add a tail and roughly align it with the beginning and end of the tail. When creating your own rigs, you should always parent the parts, but the tail is automatically parented to the existing spine, so you don't need to do anything. Now you want to decide how many tail bones you want. You can turn on wireframe and determine the number of bones based on the edges. So let's say that I want 1 bone per 2 edges. So I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so select the tail bone, limb options, and set count to 10. And then align the tail bones with the tail. Okay, looking good. Next I want to add neck and head. So add limb and choose a head. There are facial bones on the head, and we are going to do the facial rigging later in the video, but for now, just to keep things simple and clean, I'm going to go to limb options for the head and disable facial. And I don't find skulls that useful, so I'm going to disable them as well. It's important to look at references to determine where the point of rotation would be. So based on the reference that I just saw, I think the skull should be placed around here. You can also orient the head bone like this to cover most of the head. It won't make a huge difference. This is the neck. Let's pull it out. And if you want to have more neck bones, you can select the neck, limb options, and set the count to as many bones you want. 2 is fine for me. So the neck, unlike the tail, is not parented, so I have to select the first neck bone, then shift select the last spine bone, Control P, keep offset. Let's match the rig really quickly. Orienting the head bone, like we just did, gave us this control. You can always edit it, but if you change the orientation of the skull bone or head bone like this and match the rig, this will be your default head control. So it's up to you, and again, it won't make a big difference. The most important thing is to place the point of rotation correctly. Let's add a left arm and align it with the cute tiny arm of the T-Rex. I'm going to leave the fingers for a little bit later, so for now, let's go to limb options and disable all fingers and press OK. Parent the clavicle to the spine bone. Then select one bone of the arm and duplicate mirror. And now we have a second arm. Now I can add a leg. I'm going to disable all toes and press OK. And scale the leg way up and align it with the T-Rex leg. This is a nice basic alignment for the leg. I'm going to talk about the leg a lot more in the later advanced part of the tutorial. But if you want a simple default alignment, this is what you want. So the first bone is thigh, second is shin, the next is foot, the foot is raised in a T-Rex, and the last one is toes. And the small bones you should align like this, behind the toes, and make sure that the end of the toe bone is aligned with the tip of the toes of the model. Something like this. Now I can parent to the spine, duplicate mirror, and that is our basic skeleton. I can now press Match to Rig, go to Object Mode, select my T-Rex, Shift select the armature, go to Skin. I don't like Preserve Volume, it's a personal preference, and I'll press Bind. And you have a working T-Rex. Depending on your needs, you may call this done. You have body control, head control, neck controls, leg controls, arm controls. If this is all you want, then thank you for watching. But if you also want to rig the face, the fingers, toes, and possibly make some edits to the leg rig, then please keep watching. The fingers will be easy to add. Let's go to Rig, Edit Reference Bones, select the arm, Limb Options, and add 2 fingers. Avoid the thumb because it's a little bit special, so I'm going to go for index and ring. You can see that the fingers are rotated a little bit, so let's undo or go to limb options and disable the fingers. And then press Ctrl R and roll this bone a little bit and then try again. Okay, now the fingers appear correctly. Let's enable X mirror here and press Ctrl R again to mirror this change on the other side. And here I'm going to enable the same fingers and then start aligning. I like to align the fingers using volume snapping. So enable volume snapping, and then without enabling the magnet here, press G to move and then hold Ctrl, and the bone will snap in the volume of the model. Okay, looks good. Match to rig. And bind. These settings are okay, just press OK. And now you should have finger controls. Let's work on the face now. It's probably the hardest part in this tutorial, but it's not too difficult. Let's go back to Rig, Edit Reference Bones. If I select the head and enable facial and press OK, the face will kind of appear in this direction. So let's disable facial, orient the head like this, and enable facial again. Now, if I press OK, the orientation of the face bones will be easier to understand. I'll go back to limb options and let's see what kind of facial features we want for the T-Rex. Eyebrows I can use, eyes I can use. I'm not sure about the nose, but I'm going to leave it on. Cheeks I don't need. For the mouth, I'll definitely want to increase the lip amount, but I'm going to do it in a second. For now, I'll actually set it to 1 and you'll see why in a second. Teeth controls are not necessary, they are for cartoony effects, but I'm going to leave them on. Tongue is necessary and chins I don't need. And press OK. Now let's grab everything and scale it up. This large bone here is the jaw, so I'm going to align it something like this so that it covers the jaw. And then hide it, or I can switch viewport display to stick. This bundle of bones are the eye bones, so I'll align them roughly with the eye. These here are the brows, so align them with the brow, and from the top view, I'm going to rotate them. Make sure that you use bounding box center. These 3 bones here are the nose bones. Let's move them roughly in the nose area. This chain of bones is the tongue. Let's make it a little bit bigger and place it around here. And these 3 bones are the teeth. I'm going to place them around here. And the upper teeth around here. And the remaining bones are lips bones. So select them and let's move them somewhere. And let's move them over here. So this roll control, I'm just going to place around here and it's not going to be too important for us. And the lower one over here. This is the center control for the upper lips. And this is the center control for the bottom lips. And this here will be the edge of the lips. So I'm going to place it around here. And I can even use face snapping and snap it here at the edge of the lip. Okay, next go to the head, limb options, and increase the amount of lip controls. So I tested it and 6 is fine. You can increase it even more if you want more lip controls. Actually, let's set it to 8. And I'm going to set the master controls to, let's say, 3 and press OK. Go back to limb options and make sure that you check update transforms here for the lips and press OK. And that will arrange the lip bones correctly. So things are getting hard to see, so let's select all of the lips bones. Upper and lower. Make sure you got all of them and press Shift H. Now I'm going to move the lower lips just so that things are easy to see. If you don't do this, you may get confused which one is top and which one is bottom. And now you can use face snapping and snap these bones one by one, slowly covering the edge of the lip. Lower lips now. Okay, looking good. Let's unhide everything, Alt H, and focus on the eyes. Select this set of bones, Shift H, then go to your model, go to Edit Mode, and press L over the eye to select the whole eyeball, then Shift S, cursor to select it. That will place the cursor exactly in the center of the eye. Then go back to the rig, Edit Mode, and with all of these bones selected, Shift S, selection to cursor. Then I can set the origin to 3 cursor and rotate these bones and scale them roughly. Pay attention to the names of the bones and find the corner 1 bone and align it with one corner of the eye, and then the other corner and align it with the other side. Then find top 0,1 ref, 0,2 ref, and 0,3 and align them with the upper lid. And then do the same for the lower lid. Now find the bot ref bone and align it just below the center of the lower eyelid, and top ref in the center of the upper eyelid. Then eye offset, you can enable wireframe and use face snapping to snap it just in the center of the eye, on the surface, I mean. Okay, this will be a good start. Alt-H to unhide everything. And now let's align these brow bones with the brow. And this big bone is just a control, so it's not that important. Just place it over the brow. Let's align these nose bones, even though I'm not quite sure what to do with them. Something like this. And now I can try to match the rig. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to try is to close the eye and just observe how the controls rotate. And even though they don't deform the mesh, I can see that they don't work correctly. So go back to Edit Reference Bones. This is controlled by this top ref and bottom ref bones. Switch to octahedral and select these two bones and press Shift H. Enable access, and for this bone press Ctrl R and rotate it so that the Z axis is pointing up like this. And this one is looking okay actually. Let's match the rig and find this control and try to rotate it, and this is looking much better. And that wasn't too bad. I think we are in good shape with the face. Now we want to update the skinning. So here's what you could do. Go to the mesh, edit mode, and press L over the main mesh and go back to object mode. Then shift select the rig, go to skin and choose selected vertices only and press bind. Something is wrong with this arm here. Let's go back to edit reference bones. When the reference bones are hidden and you press match to rig, you will get such problems. So now with all bones shown, press match to rig and everything should be fine again. And you'll see that the jaw is now skinned. I can open it with this control. I can close the eyes. They are controlling too much of the skull here, but that's okay. We'll fix it. And we have these lip controls with some master controls. And I think you can see how powerful the Odorrig Pro Face Rig can be. Now let's take care of the teeth. I'll go back to the model, edit mode, deselect everything, and then select all lower teeth. I just point to the teeth and press L. Because this is symmetrical, I can go to select mirror, choose extend here, and that's all of the lower teeth. Now I can go to the rig, go to the last bone layer, and let's find the teeth bones. I think they're over here, the lower teeth bones. So now select the mesh, shift select the rig, go to skin and choose selected bones only and selected vertices only and press bind. Let's try voxelized. It didn't work quite well. Okay, I can't get the teeth to bind completely to the teeth bones. I'm not sure why. So here's what I'm going to do. Select all of these teeth bones. Here's some vertex that I didn't select. And then go to item. And here I'm going to set the value for teeth bottom X to 1 and everything else to 0. And then press copy. And now the teeth are fully controlled by the teeth bone. Let's select all of the upper teeth bones. And then I can go here and choose remove from all groups. And then look for teeth. Choose teeth top X and click assign. And now this teeth control will control the teeth if you need that. Let's take care of the tongue as well. I'll select all vertices of the tongue. Again, remove all vertex groups. Then go to the rig, pose mode, and find all of the tongue bones and select them. Now select the mesh, shift select the rig, go to ARP, skin, and use the settings, selected bones only, selected vertices only, and bind. Let's go to edit reference bones. I think the tongue bones are not aligned with the tongue mesh. Okay, now we have the jaw working. Tongue is working. Lips are working. We can control the brows. So the main thing that I want to do is to remove some of the influence that this eyelid has over the skull here. So select the rig and shift click this last bone layer here, then shift select the mesh, go to weight paint mode and control click on one of these eyelid controls. Go to tool, use the subtract brush and enable auto normalize. And because my mesh is symmetrical, I'm going to enable X mirror here and then start clicking to remove this influence. And then do the same for the other bones. These eye bones only need to have an influence over the eyelid. And this central bone needs to have a stronger influence over the eyelid. So I'll switch to mix and reduce the strength a little bit. And I just need to keep painting until the closing of the eyelid looks good. I can still see some influence here on the skull. Subtract it. Okay, and I think the only thing that is not properly weighted yet is the eyeball. So go to the mesh, edit mode, press L to select the whole eyeball, remove from all groups, then look for eye and find ci.l and click assign. And then on the right eyeball, I'll do the same, remove all groups, find ci.r and assign. Now if I move this control here, it will move the eye. We also have this control for both eyes, but it's rather useless for animals which have eyes pointing in opposite directions. It looks like the eye bone is affecting the skull still, so select the rig, shift select the mesh, weight paint mode, and select the eye group and subtract these weights here. And now things are starting to behave quite well. You can keep fine-tuning the weight painting if you have to. I don't have toe bones yet, so let's add them, and then I'm going to show you an alternative leg setup if you're interested. Let's edit the reference bones and add middle, ring, and index toes. Same on the other side. And then align them with the actual model. Okay, now I can match the rig. And I want to update the weights just for the feet. So I'm going to select these bones here. and go to the mesh, enable X-ray, and select these vertices. And then go to skin, and again use selected bones only and selected vertices only and bind. Okay. The fingers or the toes should be skinned now. Okay, so again, at this point, you can call this done. I just want to call your attention to the behavior of the leg. If you move the IK, for the most part, it moves naturally, but if you rotate the IK, you'll see how it rotates around this pivot point, which makes sense because technically this is the foot of the dinosaur. So technically that's correct, but when you start animating this way, you have to move the IK. Then if you want this part of the rig to move, you have to use this control here. Then maybe you have to switch to this control and make some adjustments. And that's a bit too much for just animating the foot. It would be nice if the IK rotated this part of the leg, technically the toes, as if they were the foot. And I'm going to show you how you can set it up. Edit reference bones, select the left leg, limb options, and enable 3-bone leg. Okay, and enable it for the right leg as well. And now I want to take this new bone and I want to make it the thigh bone. The second thigh will be the shin. This here will be the foot, and the actual foot bone, the foot ref.l, I'm going to make really, really small in this area. Something like this, and the toe will stay as it is. Okay, parenting is fine. So let's press match to rig. Now we have to reset the weights. And I don't want to change the weights for the face. So let's enable the deformation bones. Go to pose mode. And select all of the body bones. Then on the mesh, enable X-ray and select the whole body. And then again, I can skin with selected bones only and selected vertices only. Okay, let's go to pose mode. Now the IK moves and rotates the toes as if they were a foot. That is more or less what I wanted. Now the problem is that this part of the leg does not react to the IK, but if I just go to tool and increase the 3-bone IK slider, I think 0.7 or so is a good value, then it will start reacting to the IK. You can increase it or decrease it depending on your preferences. Now if I just move this IK and rotate it, that gives me almost perfect control over this whole leg with just one control. One drawback is that we lost control over this point of rotation. There is simply no control which rotates around this pivot point. But that is okay with me. It doesn't bother me. I don't feel like I need it. Feel free to disagree with me and to use the other setup. But this is what I like. Now, as some final touches, I don't like how big these controls are, so I would go here and use the edit shape button and just rescale them a little bit. Okay, I'll try not to overdo this. The edit shape function of AutoRig Pro is really nice to work with, and I really enjoy tweaking my controls so that they're exactly as I want them. A little tweak that I would do is to switch the arms to FK mode. So go to Tool and click Snap IK FK for both arms. Because when they are in IK mode, since they're so small, they easily flip and behave weirdly. So FK makes more sense here. Another very minor tweak, notice how when I move this control to here, the jaw is open all the way to here. So if I go to Edit Reference Bones, select the head, limb options, and tweak the jaw speed, let's set it to 2 and press OK, match to rig. So actually, that's worse. I should set it to 0.5. And now it seems much more natural. Just play with it until it behaves well. Here I did a silly mistake. If you go to the limb options for the head, you'll see that I have update transforms for the lips, which change their positions. So I'm going to disable it now, press OK, and I'm going to spend a minute or two realigning these lip bones again. Okay, all done. So be mindful of this setting. It can be useful, but it can also create problems when you don't need it.